Did you have a resolution for 2017? Either way, you're gonna wanna watch this short video regardless. Welcome to another episode of Holistic Lifestyle Coaching with Ryan David. I'm Ryan David. Okay, so today, all I wanna do is I wanna give you four simple suggestions for four simple goals, things that you can apply to your life starting today. And it doesn't matter where you are in terms of your resolution or the new year or anything like that. It's kind of irrelevant. See, New Year's Eve and these resolutions that we make on December 31st for the new year, it's kind of arbitrary. It's just one of those days that we pick that everybody kind of, universally comes together and decides, I'm gonna set this goal for myself and I'm gonna take the next year to accomplish it. But we really don't need that day on the calendar to decide we're gonna set a goal and follow through with it. It's just a matter of making the decision and then committing yourself to whatever that is. So regardless of where you are as far as a resolution, if you had one, and or if you didn't, it doesn't matter, because at any moment in time you can make the decision that you're going to absolutely commit yourself to a goal and to accomplishing it. The challenge for most people is they set goals that are unrealistic, and that's why they fall off the wagon, so to speak, very quickly, because the goal was never attainable to begin with in terms of how they set themselves up. Or they set a goal and they don't monitor or check their progress and see how they're doing progressively. And next thing you know, it's December of the same year and it's been 12 months since they've checked their progress to see how they were. And of course, if you only check your goal once a year, chances are you're not going to do very well. So these are some simple suggestions, four simple suggestions that you can apply and even start do daily, but they're not overwhelming. They're simple, but they pay big dividends if you can really execute them and you can be consistent. And also, it won't require a lot of energy or effort over the long haul. It's just something you need to do initially as a matter of consciousness, and be conscious about what you're doing and have an intention to set this thing and do this thing daily, and after a while it becomes second nature. So really quickly, let's get to those four suggestions. Number one, replace a word in your vocabulary. Find a word that is negative or disempowering and replace it with a more empowering word, a more positive word, or a word that is going to incite you to actually take action and do some things and be motivated rather than be overwhelmed or just bogged down. Let me give you an example. For in my situation, it was a few years ago, I threw the word, I think it was a recommendation or I got the idea from Tony Robbins, probably was at UPW, one of his seminars, and he mentioned the word problem. And I just adopted that, I believe it was from him, and I threw the word problem out of my vocabulary. So it's not just about getting rid of a word though, you have to replace it. Just like pretty much any bad habit or any behavior, we have to replace what we're already doing, or like a vacuum, it'll be filled and you'll go right back to that old behavior. So with words, first of all, the challenge is becoming aware of what word you're going to replace. And then it's a matter of choosing another word you're going to substitute in its place that's comparable, right? But it's not as overwhelming, because words, they carry weight. And we might not realize it because we say so many words each and every day, but the definitions of these words and what these words mean to us, they resonate with us on a subconscious level, and we have associations and connections that we make to words. So when we use words like problem or depressed or angry, those kind of words, they have a lot of weight to them, and we're saying them amongst the sentences that we're speaking. We're not maybe realizing, but our brain's making associations and connections to those words, and we automatically find ourselves falling into that state, that emotional state that's associated or attached to that word. So problems, for instance, I threw the word problem out because nobody likes problems. And instead of saying problems or thinking in terms of problems, I think in terms of challenges. That's going to be a problem. That's not going to be a problem. That's going to be a challenge, right? The challenge is this. We have a challenge on our hands. I like challenges. Most people do. When you go to people and you say, hey, there's a problem, we have a problem, that's going to be a problem. We automatically fall into this funk. We have a negative connotation, negative association to the word problem. So find a word like problem, or depressed is another one, because right away when you say the word depressed, you're feeling depressed, you're thinking depressed, you're going to fall into that funk, that state that goes in line with that word. So find the word that you're going to replace, and then obviously find another one that you can put in its place. So for depressed, say, you're feeling down, you're feeling blue, you're in a funk, you're kind of out of it. Those are things you can say that would not drain you or be so overwhelming, and you can still kind of do something about it. It's going back to problems. You know, when I have a problem on my hands, I don't say the word problem or think the word problem. I call it a challenge so that I have the energy and I'm not overwhelmed, so I can take care of it and handle it. So whether it's anger or depressed or problems, something that's negative and you know it, you feel it, you realize it when you speak it, it's draining or it's overwhelming, take that word and just throw it out and find something else you can put in its place that would help empower you. Number 2, create a new habit by making a new behavior a part of your everyday ritual. So find a certain behavior, something you're going to execute on a daily basis that eventually you can turn into a habit that will serve you. So for instance, something like when you first wake up in the morning, drink a glass of water, which is a good idea for all of us to do, but how many people actually do it? You go right for the coffee possibly, or you don't have anything at all, but a full glass of water is great to hydrate after a night's rest. Something simple like that. And there's a bunch of other morning routines you can say, I'm gonna do this every single day, every single morning. So find something like that. Some others that are a little bit more challenging maybe than just grabbing a glass of water in the morning, maybe exercise once a day. I'm gonna walk, I'm gonna jog, I'm gonna run, I'm gonna go to the gym once a day and get something done. But find something you can do on a daily basis, one behavior that you can add to your daily routine consistently that will eventually over time, 21 days, they say, a month or so, if you do it consistently, it'll become a part of your everyday routine and you won't even have to put effort into it. But you have to be consistent. But find what that one behavior is that you're gonna add to your everyday routine. And it could be anything from, instead of when you get into bed at night, you bring the phone with you, you decide to be on the phone, and when you're done with the phone, you set it down, then you get into bed. It's a good idea for most of us. And there's a ton of them out there. Read a book is another one, or calling a loved one, or kiss your spouse once a day. Make a point to do that. And it sounds like a little thing, but it can really help impact your life in a number of ways, and you can ask your spouse after a while, or you won't have to ask them. They'll give you a reaction that'll speak to how powerful it is. So little things like this, find a behavior you can work into your everyday routine that will create a new habit for you that will help serve you. Number 3, and this is a big one for most people, because you say the word food, they start freaking out because they're addicted to food and that's their number 1 source of pleasure in their life. But this one has to do with food. This year, find one food item that you're gonna target and you're gonna regulate. What I mean by that is pick a food item in your everyday diet, maybe a vice of yours, or something that you go to maybe too often, something that's unhealthy, something that you know you already need to cut back on but haven't already. And I say pick one food item because the challenge with diets and with most people with food is that they need to make major shifts in the way that they eat, but there's so many shifts they need to make, it's overwhelming to them and they don't make any shifts at all. Start with that one food item that's been problematic or is unhealthy, or is kind of the one thing you need to target the most. Soda, breads or pasta or grains or whatever it is, if you're addicted to carbohydrates, or whatever your food item is. And you have to be honest with yourself and be upfront with yourself and say, look yourself in the mirror and say, look, I eat this too often and I shouldn't, or I know I should cut back on that, or I would feel better if I ate this less often. Whatever it is, take that one food item and say, I'm gonna take this food item on this year and I'm gonna regulate this food item to the point where it's not controlling me. I decide when and where and how I'm gonna eat that food item. Don't cut it out. That's not what I'm saying to do, because that's kind of creating more pain for yourself, and eventually you'll push back because we don't like pain. Just regulate that item. Say, I'm consciously every day, the one food item I'm gonna pay attention to the most or at all is this food item. I'm gonna regulate it. And I'm gonna get it down to where I feel comfortable and I have it under control. And I'll probably also feel better because of that. And then once you get that food item taken care of, then you start to find another one and you start stacking your successes and stacking those. And next thing you know, before you know it, you've regulated your whole diet and you really have shifted your whole lifestyle and the way that you eat to a more healthy, balanced lifestyle. And it's something that's gonna be sustainable. It's not a temporary diet where you quit everything and drink milkshakes or eat cookies or whatever people are doing nowadays to try and lose weight or change their eating style, because eventually they don't last. And I'll do a whole another video on diets and why they're not sustainable, and they're just kind of ridiculous if you ask me. They're short term, not to be judgmental, but they are short term. It's a short term fix, if a fix at all. Regardless, take one food item and just target that one food item until you have that one under control, and then find another one and start stacking them. But this year, say every day, starting this year, starting right now, starting today, I'm gonna target this food item and make a conscious effort to target it. You can still have it, you can indulge, but do it with intention and realize and recognize and become aware of what you're doing and how often you're partaking in that one food item. To add to that, you can possibly target that one food item that's problematic, regulate it, and like I was talking about earlier, find a substitution, an alternative, a more healthy, beneficial, better alternative to whatever that food item is you're regulating. That'll give you some leverage to try and really approach that one food item and regulate that, and eventually wean it out and push it out. Every once in a while you might indulge, but overall you'll take back control of that food item and you'll have that alternative to give you some leverage. And number 4 has to do with gratitude, and it's really just finding something that will trigger an attitude of gratitude within you. It fills you up with gratitude inside, and when we're full of gratitude and we're grateful, we can't be in a negative state. And the reason why I encourage you to find that trigger that triggers gratitude inside of you is for you to put it in your back pocket. Go throughout your day, go throughout your year, but have it in your back pocket so that when you do find yourself in a funk or you are tripped up and you're in a negative state, you have a go-to now. You can pull that out of your back pocket, metaphorically speaking, and you can kind of use that trigger to change your state and kind of get out of that funk. Because sometimes we find ourselves in a negative state, negative emotions take over and really can't get out of them, or we feel like we can't get out of them, we're overwhelmed. Well, tapping into gratitude is one way that you'll absolutely be able to put things in perspective and get out of that funk. And that's easier said than done though. If we have a go-to trigger, a go-to thought or idea or something we're appreciative of that we are every day maybe thinking about that regardless of your state, reminding yourself what that trigger is, then you'll be priming yourself for when you do fall into that funk, you know right where to go or what to focus on to really help shift and change your state. So have that trigger. And another thing you could have besides maybe a thought or an idea or something you're appreciative of is maybe a person in your life. And they don't have to necessarily be in your life. It could be someone in the flesh and blood that you know, a person in your life that you maybe contact, call, maybe just get around them because maybe their energy is contagious and they're just uplifting, or they're very positive or optimistic, and that's contagious for you, and that really helps you get out of your funk. It's not somebody you need to go to dump your problems on them. They don't even need to know maybe necessarily where you are as far as your state or your emotions or what's going on with you, but when you get around them, contact them, talk to them, whatever the case may be, it's just infectious, and it's that reminder of what you're capable of or what you can do. And this can be anybody. It doesn't necessarily have to be Deepak Chopra or Tony Robbins. It doesn't even have to be me, but it could be any one of those. It can be anybody who, when you listen to them, when you talk to them, when you're around them, another person that incites energy in you to remind you, hey, I need to get out of this funk right now, or things could be worse, or I have the ability to change this, or something. But just have that one person, that go-to person that you know is really gonna help incite that inside of you, and have that one person or that one thought in your back pocket and use that as a trigger to trigger that gratitude to help transition from a negative kind of state to a more positive, empowering state. The key is, regardless of whether you choose one of those 4 simple goals or anything else as a resolution, the key is start simple. Start simple, start small even, and work on that on a regular, consistent basis. It is a resolution for the entire year, but the truth of the matter is, if you're consistent and you're dedicated, it won't take you but a month, maybe 2, before you don't even have to consciously apply these things or apply yourself to these things or these behaviors. They just become a part of their second nature almost, and it becomes a part of that new you. It's all about starting simple and building momentum and stacking successes on top of each other. Don't try to do it all at once. I tell my students, break it down, chunk it down, break it down into little bite-sized chunks, and just keep growing step by step. But make sure you maximize and you really knock out and take care of that one thing first, and then move on to the next. And like I said, you'll build momentum and you'll start stacking successes over time. I want to know, what was your resolution? Leave it in the comments below and share with me what your resolution was this year for 2017. And if you didn't have one, which of these 4 resolutions spoke to you that you're saying it to yourself, that sounds like a great idea. I'm gonna absolutely commit myself to that simple goal. And if it wasn't one of those 4, did I trigger something else? Did you think of something else that maybe you could do? But I wanna hear what it is. Share with me in the comments below and I'll check those out. If you're new to this channel or you're just running across this channel, this video for the first time, I'd love to know what you think. I'd love some feedback, and if you did enjoy it, give me a thumbs up so that I know you appreciate the content. But I'd really like you to subscribe to my channel so we can stay connected. You can join my team and I can reach you with more content just like this video. I'm just getting started here on this channel. I'm working on a whole lot more. I'm looking forward to a lot of the content that I'm putting out right now and putting together and producing right now. So there'll be a whole lot more to come. Hit that subscribe button and you will stay connected with me. You can also connect with me on social media at The Ryan David, no matter what the platform is. I hope to see you there. I will look for you in the comments. Until then, decide what you're gonna focus on and make the decision to absolutely commit yourself on a regular, everyday basis. Stay committed consistently set this year, over the course of this year, and I promise you, before you know it, whatever you're dedicated to, before you know it, it will become a part of your everyday routine. You gotta be consistent though, do it daily, and I promise you, you will reap the benefits and the rewards. It doesn't have to be monumental. It can be something very simple. It's a matter of stacking those simple successes and the dividends will be huge. Until next video, until I see you again, take care. I will be putting out more content very soon. See you then. I'd really like to know, sorry.